She has the complexity. You have to what? Learn the complexity. So sometimes people say, well, you know what? Women are sometimes smarter than men. I think that's true. Because women have the complexity, men have to do what? Learn it. And so you got to pay attention. You got to, you know, it's like the story of the man. It said, you know, like, it say for woman it's like a flower, a plant, and the woman goes to and the plant says, well, I don't feel good. I don't feel very well. And something's matter. And so the husband is like, well, let me see. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my beautiful plant, who is, you know, my wife. Well, if the wife is like a plant, I'm gonna take my beautiful plant, take it out that clay pot, and put it in a brand new shiny brass pot. And took that plant and put it out the clay pot and put it in a shiny brass pot. And now the plant is in a new pot. Looks good, and all the other plants around. Oh, look at that wonderful plant pot that she's in. She's looking good. You know, and that plot could be equated to like a new house, new car, new clothes. But the plant, which is like the wife again, saying, yeah, but I still don't feel good. There's something not right. I don't know. And so then the husband said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get some gold ribbons, and then I'm going to put it all around the plant and everything, and get a dish to put under the gold pot of silver, and do it. And then a couple of weeks go by, and the plant's still saying, I still don't feel that good. And then later on, the plant just dies. Now, why did the plant die? Because the husband didn't know. You take the knowledge. It's not the gold pot. Yeah, the pot makes the plant look good, but the plant is still not what? Healthy. Because that's not what the plant needed. You need to know what that plant needed. You need to know what your wife needs. To dwell with them in knowledge, what kind of water nourishes your wife? That's your responsibility as a husband to learn that. That's why you got to dwell with them what? According to knowledge. So instead of that man getting his brand new plant a gold pot, he should have just gave him a what? Some water. And instead of getting the ribbons, maybe it could have enriched the what? The soil. The things that actually make a difference. All right? Which is why a lot of times a lot of women can have all this stuff, live in these wonderful big old houses and all this stuff, and just be what? Miserable. Because the husband never took a time to understand what makes the wife his wife. What kind of plant do I have? And when you keep messing, now some women don't die. Some women just transform. If you're gonna be, you ain't giving me no water, and you're not giving me, you know, the proper type of shade versus sun and everything, then you know what I'm gonna do? I used to be a nice little daffodil. I'm gonna transform myself into what can survive in your atmosphere. And what can survive in cold, dry atmospheres? Cactuses. And so when you go to give your wonderful daffodil a hug, guess what you're going to get? Pricks. And then you wonder, well, why every time I try to get close, you pricking me? Because you're not understanding the what? The needs. And so a lot of times that's what happens. A woman has to, and that's the problem we have today with men not taking leadership. Women have begun to what? Transform themselves into things that God never really called for them to be. A woman should not be the head of running all the responsibilities, especially in the spiritual thing. Which is why also, remember when I said when I first started, when I used to, when Paul said that he will not allow a woman to teach a man. Remember that? And so I remember reading that, and I used to be like, well, you know, I'm trying to understand, but I understand it a little better. And I say what? A little better. Because the man is supposed to get the insight from who? God. From God. All right? Because that's the way God, he said, I'm going to give it to you, and that's why Paul says, let the woman learn at home from their what? From their husbands. So the husband is supposed to go and get the insight. All right? And I kind of understood that, and it's important. So it's not that the woman, they went to the synagogue, they went there, they listened to everything, but then when they really wanted to understand how does that work for us, for our home, for me and you as husband and wife. Then the husband's supposed to go to God and says, this is how we got to, what we got to do. And I know I'm not crossing every T and dotting every I on that, but I think it's important that we at least have that conversation. We talk about that. All right. All right. So it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to what? According to knowledge, giving honor. You see that? Mm-hmm. Not shame, not embarrassment, not belittlement, but giving what? Honor to the wife as the weaker vessel, as the vessel that needs what? Protecting. You protect the weaker. All right. You look at a baby this weak and cannot protect itself. Anybody would put themselves would step when you see something like a baby get ready to do something they can't protect it. You're gonna step up and try to do what? Help. You're gonna try to help, and that's something that a man should do instinctively. But the devil is trying to weed that instinctive aspect out of men. Just like he's trying to weed that instinctive aspect of a woman to be married out of a woman. I don't need no husband. I don't need it. You know, I don't, you know, and I'm gonna be like a man. I'm gonna go out there and play the field. And the devil has succeeded, unfortunately, in a lot of respects. But the saints of God, we have to stand firm on what we know the word says. So giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs, how? Together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not what? Hindered. All right? And sometimes you wonder, well, why am I not getting my prayers answered? Why is my dreams not? Well, you can start right at home. You go right to the house. If you're not taking care of that, then God says that then you are out of alignment with what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to use you as a means of feeding the wife and feeding the family. I just don't want you feeding them naturally. I just don't want you being the one that goes out and make the money and brings the food home and that. But I also want you to be the one that will seek me and get the spiritual wisdom and spiritual insight and bring that into as well. It's important. Not to say that every man has the greatest spiritual adeptitude better than the woman. Because remember, the woman is the one that's more what? Complex. But the husband should be the one that wants to have the information. Let's get it in our home. There are a lot of things that women can do better than that. You know. But that still don't change the role. It doesn't change the role. You have a house, and your kid could be a great composer or something. Could play music and go out and make all kinds of money. But the kid is still what? Subject to the what? To the mother and father until he gets home. That's what Jesus he was subject unto his parent, unto his mom, and to Joseph, until he what? He started his ministry. Remember when he walked away? Well, not so much walked away, but when he stayed, when they were at the festival, and then they left, and then they were looking for him for how many days? For 3 days, and they found him back at the temple. He was 12 years old, and he said, know ye not that I must be about my father's business? But then he said he went home and was subject what? To them. It's important to keep in mind. All right. So let me just reiterate one thing about this prayer aspect. The praying has to be something that it's almost like Peter saying, I know you're praying, but your prayers are not working. But sometimes in this day, the question can even be, are you praying? All right? And that's the aspect. We got to make sure that we have to, and prayer does not have to be something sophisticated. And I'm going to stop here because I have to stop and get it, because I really want to spend some time on this thing about prayer. Because I think if we can get our husbands praying, but I think the reason why we don't get them praying is because we think that prayer has to be an exercise of endurance. But I want to talk a little bit about prayer. So we're going to pick that up. We'll spend a little bit of time on that on next week. And then we'll finish the rest of the chapter. All right? Any other comments or questions on what we've done so far?